Hi friends, in this video I'm going to discuss with you what all you're going to study under banking in India as mentioned in your syllabus. Now banking, there are two terms, see banking and in India. Okay, so we are going to study banking and how banks operate in India. Precisely this is what it means. First thing which you're going to study, the most important thing is you're going to study money. Okay, money. So what is a basic understanding, the syllabus is a basic understanding of the inconvenience of the barter system. So an important term which you are going to come across here is barter system. Now what is barter system? You're going to study this of course in detail when you go to the chapter. Let me tell you just in brief. When there was no money, people used to exchange goods for other goods, and this was called barter system. And after this came into existence money, and so you're going to study evolution of money next after you're familiar. You go through what is barter system, and once you study how money came into existence, the next thing is what do you actually call money, the definition, legal definition. Okay, you have to know the legal or the valid or approved or accepted definition, legal definition of money. This is one more thing which you have to know. And after this you have to study functions, functions of money, what are the uses of money. And under this what we are going to study is, we are going to study that money is basically a medium of exchange. Okay, medium of exchange, this we are going to study as a function of money. Then measure of value. Okay, measure, that it measures value, measure of value. Okay, after this we also have another point which we have to know, and that is standard of deferred payment. Okay, like you exchange value, and it is also a standard of deferred payment. Let me first write of deferred. Okay, that is you can make your payments, you know you can make a deferred payment. And then store of value, it stores value. Money is a store of value. So these are very important parts we are going to study under the subsection money. The next thing, of course, when we are studying banks, so next important thing we are going to study here under banks is, this is number 2, we are going to study commercial banks. Okay, I'm just writing down commercial banks. Now you will ask what is a commercial bank. Of course you will get to know all of it, but when there is a definition of something called commercial bank, then there must be other kind of bank also. So what is a commercial bank? Under this you are going to study meaning and functions. Okay, meaning and functions you are going to study. Then you have to know, under functions of commercial bank, under functions we are going to study what do the banks do. They accept deposits. Okay, accepting deposits, this is what banks do, right? They take money, they keep money with themselves. A brief understanding, the syllabus is a brief understanding of the types of deposits. So when you are studying deposits, you also need to study types of deposits that banks take. Okay, then another function is advancing loans. Again here you have to understand types of loans and methods of advancing loans. So I'm just mentioning the keyword which is called advancing loans. Okay, this is another function which banks do. Here also you have to understand what it is and types of loans and methods of advancing loans. So you have to study types of loans and methods of advancing loans. Then this is very important, which I'm just mentioning. This is called credit creation. Okay, how credit is created. Credit in a sense, like how banks actually multiply money. Credit creation. Okay, how money is lent out. So it's all under credit creation. Here also you have to have a brief understanding of the credit creation on the basis, the syllabus mentions, on the basis of primary and derivative deposits. So when you talk about deposits here, okay, so under deposits, when you put money, so deposits will be considered as primary and derivative. So what is primary and derivative deposits? Okay, these are keywords. Of course you will study the same thing in detail when you go to the chapter. Well, when you talk of commercial banks, here comes another very important part which you cannot skip, of course, which is going to be very important. So I'm just putting that here, and that part is central bank. Okay, this is very important. Central bank. See, it's not a bank by the name central bank. It means the prime or the most important, or the bank which actually takes care of all the banks in an economy. So in our case it will be Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so when you study central bank, you have to know the meaning, functions. Okay, I'm just mentioning, you have to know the meanings, you have to know the functions of a central bank of an economy. Okay, then you have to know functions of central bank, you have to know. Then you have to know monopoly of note issue. Okay, monopoly, what is monopoly of note issue? That monopoly of note issue, that it is the only bank which has the permission or the right to issue notes. Okay, then bankers bank, you have to study this, how a central bank is a bankers bank. It is a bank to the banks. Okay, this is what it means. Then you have banker, agent and advisor to the government, how it is related, central bank, how it is related to government. This is important, its role, when it comes to its role with the government. Then it is custodian of foreign exchange. Okay, so here is a word which you have to go through again. Foreign exchange. What is foreign exchange? Any idea? It's like money perhaps that we receive from abroad, and money that we send abroad. So there is a kind of transaction involved with other countries, between an economy and other countries. So here we are going to study that part under foreign exchange, and how central bank is actually a custodian of foreign exchange. Lender of the last resort. Now see, these are very big words and very important words. Perhaps every phrase or word you come across here is important. Lender of the last resort. See, lender of the last resort. What does this mean? It means that it is a savior, and it is also a lender. When there is no one around to help, it is here to lend. So you have to understand, a brief understanding, the syllabus says a brief understanding of the functions. So you have to know the functions which we have just mentioned above all of these. We come to the next part here, which is called monetary policy of the central bank. Now see, we are getting into some real serious economics under this part of the syllabus. This is called monetary policy. Okay, very important. Monetary policy of the central bank. So I'm putting this of the central bank. This is a very important part. And what are you going to study? What is a monetary policy? This all is going to come in detail. Just for your understanding, have this much understanding that monetary policy is something where a central bank is involved, I mean, it has certain kind of ability to steer economy through its own intervention. So monetary policy is that part which you're going to study, monetary policy of the central bank. And under this there are two parts I'm just mentioning which will come handy. I'll just mention the names here. One is qualitative credit. It's called qualitative qualitative credit. Okay. And the second part, uh, qualitative credit control measures. So qualitative credit control measures, uh, this is what you study. Margin requirements, so these are technical terms, these can't be explained here in short. For this you need to study the entire chapter. So margin requirements, credit rationing, moral suasion, so these are keywords here which you will study. And the second part is quantitative credit. Okay, quantitative 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 credit. And under this there are quantitative credit control measures. Okay, control measures, what are we going to study here? We have certain technical terms that we are going to study here. I'll just mention those, which is, you are going to study here what is a bank rate. Okay, bank rate, this is you are going to study. Then open market operations, what are open market operations, this we will study here. Okay, cash reserve ratio, I'm just putting it in abbreviation, cash reserve ratio, this you're going to study here. And SLR, or statutory liquidity ratio. Okay, statutory liquidity ratio, don't you worry, everything will be there in the chapter, and you need to have a brief understanding of all that we have just mentioned. Okay, brief understanding, you are expected to know the meanings. It's not that you have to do a lot of calculation using all of these, but you have to know these. Okay, then the next part we have is, which you have to study, is, this is also very important, you may be able to recall, some of you may be able to recall, it's a term called demonetization. Okay, demonetization. Okay, this is what you have to study, and this you have to study in brief, just a brief understanding, this is important to understand. Okay, and next part, which is here, I understand that this is a pretty long part of the syllabus, but see, this is very important because you're studying some very important terms of economics here, some very vital part of the subject is here. Number 6 which you're going to study is, and this I'm going to just talk in brief, is public finance. Okay, public finance, this is also there in the syllabus. Under public finance you have got to study what is meaning of public finance, sources of public revenue. Now see, public here, the term means, if you go, what it means in economics is anything where the government is involved is basically public, and where the government is not there, that's called private sector. So under public finance we have to study sources of public revenue, how government earns. Okay, you have to study sources of revenue. Okay, very important here. See, if you have that basic understanding, government earns through taxes. Okay, I'm just mentioning in very short because it's going to be, then again, different kinds of taxes you will study, and after this there are other parts. Let me just repeat this part. When you are studying public finance, then you have to study everything where the government's part is there, and when you say public finance, so finance or money which is involved in the public sector or with the government. So government has to, again, has to have some sources of collecting some kind of revenue, otherwise all the good work that we need to do which requires money will be difficult. So money or revenue comes to government in the form of tax revenue. Okay, in the form of taxes, this forms revenue. And then taxes can be different type. You are going to study direct tax, you are going to study GST, and also indirect tax, of course, and you're going to study non-tax revenue. So what are the sources of revenue for a government? Taxes, of course, major, and what are the revenue sources which are not tax, which are non-tax revenue? Next we move to public expenditure. When government gets money, okay, through taxes, there also got to be an expenditure, okay, public expenditure. This is called public expenditure, okay. This we have to know here, where the money is spent, how, what the government thinks, and how this public expenditure is made. So what is the meaning of public expenditure, revenue and capital expenditure with examples? This all we have to know. And the next part here we have to know is public debt. Public debt you have to study, okay. So what is debt, what is public debt? You have to know meaning and types of meaning and types, okay. It's a pretty long part to study this part of the syllabus. It's pretty long to study this part of the syllabus, but this is very important. So I'm just going through what we discussed under this part of the syllabus. Just have a look, and maybe it's not tough actually, it's just a bit long. There are a few things which we have to know. So as we discussed, banking, and in India, first thing is money. So evolution of money, then definition of money, functions of money, and under functions of money, as we discussed, are all these points. See, this all we need to know, that money is medium of exchange, measure of value, standard of deferred payment, and store of value, okay. Then since we are studying banks here, what else we have? We have commercial bank, okay. Like what is a bank? Say bank in general sense, what does a bank do? It's a commercial bank. So what is the meaning, what are the functions of commercial bank? That one is that it accepts deposits. Then you have types of deposits which you have to study here. Then loans, it gives out money. So types of loans, methods, then credit creation, how credit is created by banks. Then when you study this, you have to study deposits here, and deposits will be primary or derivative. And then comes the important part which you are going to study under banking, which is central bank, okay. This is important. Central bank, what is the meaning and functions? Monopoly of note issue, it is a banker's bank. The relation between central bank and the government. Then foreign exchange, how it manages foreign exchange. Lender of the last resort, that is what are the functions the bank has, the central bank has. And then we come to an important part which is called monetary policy of the central bank, okay. This is very vital, you have to know this. Then what is qualitative credit, what is quantitative credit, this we have to know. And these terms, of course, bank rate, open market operations, CRR, SLR, brief understanding. The other part which is important after this is this: you have to know what is demonetization. This is in brief. Then you come to public finance, the money where how government gets its revenue, through taxes and non-tax revenue, how the money is spent by the government, public expenditure, this part we have to know. And public debt we have to know. This is public debt. What is public debt? What is the meaning and types of public debt? So this is all you are going to study under the sections where we have just talked about this banks in India, which is a part of your syllabus, banking in India. So this is all we have in this part of the syllabus which you have to go through. Please subscribe, like, share if you may want to. Thanks for watching.